Yo. Analytics off the chain, other channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. I'm a headliner.
Yo, what is going on, Headliner Nation? Welcome back to the Fantasy Headliners. Kyle here with part 2 of my 6-part series, breaking down the difference between volume and efficiency at all the skill positions in fantasy football. But don't skip forward, because we've got a couple of giveaway things we got to cover real quick, including what we're going to be giving away next, and the winner of last week's giveaway, the autographed Cordero Patterson jersey, is going to be our friend Jai Vang. Let's go. Signed up through Pristine and have been looking for stuff to buy all the time. Congratulations, Jai, on winning the Cordero Patterson autographed jersey. Make sure you shoot us an email, info@thefantasyheadliners.com. We've got to verify with Pristine that your account is all good to go, and then we will give them your shipping information, and your jersey will be coming straight from Pristine. So congratulations again on winning the autographed Cordero Patterson jersey. Congrats, Jai. But what are we going to be giving away next? Well, I got a surprise for all of you, including Jake, because on today's video, I'm going to be giving away Jake's Chubb jersey. Going to be giving away Jake's Chubb jersey. I messed that up. Anyway, that's right. We're going to be talking about Nick Chubb a ton in this video today. So I said, you know what? Why not? Let's give away Jake's Nick Chubb jersey. Sorry, Jake, you've got another one. You'll make it. It's absolutely okay. But how are we going to win this Nick Chubb jersey today? It's super simple. Number one, I'm not going to give it away unless we get 1,000 likes on this video. That's right. 1,000 likes on the video, I'm going to give it away. But how do you have a shot to win that jersey? Well, you got to go over to Pristine Auction, and you got to sign up for a free account using code word Headliners. If you purchase anything through them, it's going to give you $10 off that purchase, but then you've got an account set up ready to go in case you want to get something in the future, and it puts you in the drawing for this Nick Chubb jersey. So again, hit the like button, create a Pristine Auction account. If you've already done it with code word Headliners, you're all set. You're good to go. And also, why don't you leave me a comment down below and let me know what you would do with Jake's Chubb jersey. Wow. Comments are going to get a little bit crazy. Sorry, Jake. Got a little wild there. It doesn't matter, though. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to talk about what is on tap today. And today is going to be all about running back efficiency. On the video before this, and make sure you go check it out if you missed it, we talked about running back volume and who were the guys that were really giving you great performances based on volume. Well, today we're talking about the opposite side of it and taking a look at efficiency stats instead. So the statistics that we are going to be taking a look at today include yards per attempt, yards after contact per attempt, avoided tackles per attempt, yards per target, yards per reception, yards after the catch per reception, points per snap, and points per touch. Now, as always, here on the Fantasy Headliners, we're doing everything in a half PPR format. So that is the scoring that we will be using, talking about points per touch and points per snap. Now, just like the last video, a few names that have been excluded due to certain reasons. Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon. Those are guys that we all know are for certain going to be in a timeshare. So as of right now, it would only hurt them to talk about them in this video, and I don't want to give you a bad perspective on a player just because it doesn't really fit the formula that we're using here. Derrick Henry was hurt far too much last year. Same with Christian McCaffrey. And then when you look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Miles Sanders, both of them have had issues staying healthy, and both of them have had issues giving touches up to other running backs. And because of that, they are not clear-cut starters as of right now. So they're not going to be included in here because, again, it would only hurt some of the things that we're looking at, and I don't want to do that. So let's jump into the first stat that we're going to be taking a look at today, yards per attempt. And I don't think it is any surprise to see Sir Nicholas Chubb at number 1 overall, averaging 5.52 yards per carry. Jonathan Taylor right after him. And then a very surprising Elijah Moore coming in at number 3, 4.65 yards per carry. Mentioned his volume in the last video and how He just didn't get, at times a ton of touches last year, whether it was because obviously the injury, right? He only played in 11 games last year, but he was super efficient during that time. He was still top 10 in rushing yards, and part of it was because he was averaging 4.65 yards per carry. Then Dalvin Cook, and another person in here you might be a little surprised to see, Devin Singletary, coming in at a 4.63 yards per attempt, number 5 on this list. Then Damian Harris, Leonard Fournette, Austin Eckler, Zeke, Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, Cordero Patterson, Josh Jacobs, Antonio Gibson, all averaging over 4 yards per carry. Then we get to the guys. If you're averaging under 4 yards per carry, we've got a problem, right? Najee Harris, David Montgomery, Alvin Kamara, James Conner, and Saquon Barkley. All of those guys were really good over in the volume category, but now that we're talking about efficiency a little bit, it's starting to become a little bit scarier knowing that these guys were really, really held up by how much volume that they got last season because their efficiency just wasn't as high as we'd liked. I mean, if they would have had higher efficiency seasons, holy cow, they would have had big seasons. Yards after contact per attempt. Nick Chubb, again, leading the way. Absolutely no surprise there. Jonathan Taylor coming in after that. Again, Elijah Mitchell and Devin Singletary. Both guys all the way up here in the top 5 that are probably surprising to see there in yards after contact per attempt. I love this stat. I love guys that pick up extra yards after they get the ball in their hand. Who's fighting for those yards? In my dynamic running back rating, which is exclusive to the Fantasy Headliners Draft Guide, you get a really deep look into statistics and a formula that shows you the possibility of upside for any given running back on any given team. Joe Mixon at number 6 with a 3.09. Good to see him all the way up here. Yards after contact per attempt. Great for Joe Mixon, considering that we'd like to see that efficiency a little bit higher. We know with Joe Mixon, that offensive line is going to be a lot better this season, and now he's put himself in a position where if he can actually get past the line of scrimmage without getting hit, he's going to have even bigger stats because that yards after contact per attempt, that could stay up. And if his average yards per rushing attempt go up, that's great because that means he's getting hit further after he crosses the line instead of closer to crossing the line. Eckler, Cordero Patterson, a couple of guys a little bit further down that we'd like to see some higher numbers for. Dalvin Cook, Zeke Elliott, David Montgomery, and DeAndre Swift. We want to see those numbers come up this year, especially for a guy like David Montgomery. We want to see those up, and Zeke as well. What about avoided tackles per attempt, right? Not total avoided tackles, right? Because we're not talking about season long. We're talking about efficiency. So more on a per touch basis. Avoided tackles per attempt. Josh Jacobs leading the way at 0.26. Now, Josh Jacobs is a guy that is very, very interesting this year because good volume numbers, and he's had some good efficiency numbers, but unfortunately, we don't really know what his situation is. That Raiders team just hasn't really given him, I believe, a full opportunity to showcase what he has. And now they've declined his 5th-year option. So it'll be interesting to see that. Nick Chubb, again, no surprise there at 0.25. Devin Singletary, man. Devin Singletary and these statistics here with efficiency keeps popping up. Now, I know that they added Cook, and Cook is going to become a big part of that offense. But, man, I would really love to see Devin Singletary get the type of workload that we saw towards the end of last season for an entire year to see if he can put up those numbers. He's going to get touches this year, and to begin with, he's probably still going to be the lead back. But depending on how he does, Cook could take over very, very quickly. Taylor and James Conner both tied there at 0.20. Najee Harris, not surprised to see him up there. Again, some guys that we'd like to see a little bit higher. Zeke Elliott. Joe Mixon, I'd like to see higher, but one of the problems with Joe Mixon is he's got so many guys swarming on him at one time. It's not like he's making one guy miss, then another. He's trying to make 2 or 3 guys miss at a time. That's really tough to do. Now, what about the passing game a little bit? Yards per target. Well, it might be surprising to see James Conner lead the way. James Conner, with his limited pass catching work last year, led the way with a 9.74 yards per target. Cordero Patterson coming in just after him. Jonathan Taylor, even though he didn't get a ton of work in the passing game, his efficiency very, very high, 7.5 yards per target. That kind of helped bolster those numbers a little bit. Again, not a ton of volume, but he did well when he got those touches. Nick Chubb, man, 6.96. Can we get this guy? Yo, Stefanski. Can we get this guy more touches in the passing game, please? 6.96 yards per target. When he gets those targets, he's doing something with them, ladies and gentlemen. He's got himself absolutely rolling. Elijah Mitchell helping out in the passing game. He's highly efficient there. Again, dropping all the way down below. This is one of these things that we're going to talk about here, because everybody, when you talk about Najee Harris, the very first thing you go to if you're a pro Najee Harris guy this year, and I'm not saying I'm against him, I'm just saying I think people are expecting a little too much out of him in year 2. But yes, he got the volume, but look at his efficiency here. Yards per target, 4.97, 16th on this list. So the volume's there, but the efficiency has been good. Well, what about yards per reception? The volume's there, but he's 17th on this list, 6.31 yards per reception. Those things are not good. Those things are not good for Najee Harris. We got to see that efficiency come up. I mean, the volume was great last year because it made him a top back based on that as well. But what if he loses a little bit of that volume? What if some of that volume goes away this year? Then what are you going to get with Najee Harris? Does the efficiency go up? Maybe not. Because then when you take a look at yards after the catch per reception, 15th was 6.81 yards after the catch per reception. Not great, Najee. Not great at all. Lots of touches for him. Efficiency was not good in the run game and the passing game. And add on top of it that he didn't score nearly as many touchdowns as some of the other running backs. Now you're looking at a guy that could be very volatile this season. And again, we'll talk about a little more of that here in just a moment. But let's head into points per snap. Points per snap. So the amount of fantasy points that a player scores every time they are on the field. That'd be Damian Harris leading the way, followed by Cordero Patterson, and then Jonathan Taylor there, Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb, James Conner, Joe Mixon, Leonard Fournette, Antonio Gibson, DeAndre Swift rounding out the top 10. Then Alvin Kamara, Elijah Mitchell, Josh Jacobs, Dalvin Cook, Najee Harris. Again, just the efficiency, not very good. Montgomery, Zeke, Saquon, and Devin's older brother, Evan Singletary, who was able to take a few snaps last season for the Buffalo Bills. I'm kidding. That was obviously a typo. My bad, ladies and gentlemen. Evan Singletary coming in at number 19 overall. What about points per touch? So fantasy points that you're getting every time you touch the football. Austin Eckler leading the way in this category with 1.25 points every time he touched the football last year. Cordero Patterson at number 2. James Conner, Leonard Fournette, Jonathan Taylor. Then DeAndre Swift, Damian Harris, Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon. Now, Nick Chubb and Joe Mixon just coming a little bit lower here because, again, when you're talking about points per touch, you're also factoring in the passing game as well. And because they didn't make nearly as an impact in the fantasy game, or in the passing game, fantasy points per touch, they're going to be a little bit lower. But once again, I want to point out Najee Harris at 14.79. Again, I'm not anti Najee Harris. I just want you to be very careful where you're drafting him this year, because there's some of you out there, I don't want to name names, that are drafting Najee Harris as like a top 3, top 4 running back this year. I don't know if we can do that. That might be a little too spicy for me because he's just not nearly as efficient enough. So now you're talking about, yeah, he's not efficient. We got to hope that volume keeps up. Does the volume keep up with old Mitchie Biscuits there now? Overall, taking a look at the overall efficiency numbers, Jonathan Taylor leads the way in this category, followed by Nick Chubb, Austin Eckler, James Conner, Cordero Patterson, Damian Harris, and Elijah Mitchell. All 3 of these guys. Surprising to see them this far up here, but still very, very noteworthy that these guys in the efficiency areas are all the way up here. What can you decipher from that? Well, if they get a little bit more of the volume, if they do, for instance, Cordero Patterson, if they go back to utilizing him this season the way they did in the first half of last season, definitely a guy where with running back wide receiver eligibility potentially, you're playing him all the time, and he's finishing as probably a top 24 asset every single week with top 12 asset written all over him. And I have to say asset because I don't know where exactly he would finish. He'd be a wide receiver and a running back in most areas. So depending on where you have him, that's where he would finish. But Damian Harris, again, yes, he's the lead back there right now, but then you've got Ramondre Stevenson, you've got James White. So when you draft him, you have to be careful with him because the volume might not be there, but he's good enough in the efficiency department that don't overlook him. Same with Elijah Mitchell. Joe Mixon coming in at number 8. A lot is made of Joe Mixon's efficiency. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hate to tell you, Joe Mixon's efficiency isn't as bad as it's made out to be. Then Kamara, Fournette, Jacob Swift. Swift's got to go up this year, and it should with much better weapons around him. Gibson, Cook, Devin Singletary, Najee Harris finishing very, very low at 16 here. David Montgomery, Zeke Elliott, Saquon Barkley. So what's the difference now? What's the difference between volume to efficiency? Where do these running backs stand now after we've moved from volume to efficiency? Who had the most positive game? Who had the most negative losses? Elijah Mitchell had the biggest gain from volume to efficiency, moving up 12 spots. Cordero Patterson was second with 11. Nick Chubb third with 10. So if you all want to argue about Kareem Hunt, and you all want to argue about how Nick Chubb isn't a first rounder, we prove it wrong time and time again every single offseason. And this video just helps prove it even more. Yes, Nick Chubb is going to miss out on some volume. It's just a part of it. Kareem Hunt gets a lot of touches in the passing game. Nick Chubb is one of the most efficient running backs in all of football, and he has been every single season. This is not just an outlier where we look at Nick Chubb and say, oh, there's no way he could be ultra efficient again. Ladies and gentlemen, he's always efficient. He's always ultra efficient. It hasn't changed. We're drafting Nick Chubb. Easy. Easy squeezy. Lemon peasy. Put him in your lineup. DeAndre Swift saw a little bit of a gain, 5, and so did Jonathan Taylor, but Jonathan Taylor finished top 2 in both categories, so of course you're not going to see much. Saquon Barkley finished he finished last in both categories, so we're going to need to see a big difference from him. Austin Eckler, he went from 1 to 3. That was basically it, or excuse me, 1 to 2. That was basically it. So no issues there with Austin Eckler. No issues there with Austin Eckler. Kamara saw a big drop. Who are the guys that saw the biggest drop, though? Zeke Elliott and Najee Harris. In terms of volume, they dropped 12 spots from where they finished overall in their volume to where they finished overall in efficiency. That worries me for Najee Harris again this year, ladies and gentlemen, because you're going to be drafting him based on volume, right? But if you're not drafting Joe Mixon based on efficiency, then you can't draft Najee Harris just based on volume because you're using the same argument 2 different ways. Oh, I don't want to draft Joe Mixon because, yeah, he gets the volume, but he's not efficient enough. Oh, I want to draft Najee Harris because he gets all the volume in the world. Look at all those targets. I just ripped about 1,000 holes in that argument as well. So that's what we do here. We look for stupid arguments. We put holes in them. All right. Najee Harris falling all the way down to number 18, 12 spots, unfortunately. Big drop off for him between volume and efficiency. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know down in the comments below what you all think of this video. The positive reactions to the first one I did, everybody absolutely loved it. So doing it now again here, taking a look at the efficiency stats, I'm hoping everyone likes it as well. But don't forget, 1,000 likes. If we get 1,000 likes, we're going to give away a Nick Chubb jersey. All you got to do is sign up for that free account at Pristine Auction. Hit the like button here on the video, and would love to hear everybody down below, hear your comments on the video, and where do you planning on hanging up that Nick Chubb jersey? But ladies and gentlemen, for me, that's going to do it today. I appreciate everybody tuning into this video. I'm going to get out of here. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you all on the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.
Analytics off the chain, other channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. Y'all stuck on 3rd down. Your content's plain Jane. Headliners on top now. We gonna draft guide, so legit. Fantasy world, our game tight. You know we about that chub life. Stuck in a rut and you need some motivation. Head to the channel for this headliner nation.
I'm a headliner.